Somebody describing a female who is neither ghost nor visible to the naked eye. Holly, our protagonist, turns out to be that somebody. Her younger brother and older sister are prominent figures in her recollections. Since she considers herself to be ordinary and lives in the center, she often takes a back seat. The good news is that her mom gives her the confidence she needs to speak up. Her mom got sick one day. The family was reassured by the hospital that the procedure was beneficial. But then her mother passed away, and that was the turning point. After losing her mother, Holly started to disappear. At home, it all began when she became the lone object of gaze for her family. She observes her father noticing her sister and brother over supper, but he pays no attention to Holly at all. Her father looks at her with astonishment, as she tells him he never asked her anything. Over time, this began to impact other parts of her life as well. The instructor often checks the class for questions. Holly signals with a raised hand, but no one pays attention to her. As the summer draws to a close, no one pays any attention to her anymore. When she falls asleep on the first day of class and nobody rouses her, it solidifies her belief in this. No one pays attention to the girl, or even acknowledges her when she confronts her relatives. Her father lets out a terrified gasp as she takes his hand. "What happened?" he inquires. Holly, oblivious to the situation, joins the family for a photo op. To her surprise, though, she finds that she is completely out of the shot. Despite her initial reluctance, she eventually can't deny it. No one can find her, and they no longer remember her. She becomes used to her existence without sight as time goes on. Living in a property rented to a corporation gives her the impression that everything is completely normal. She is able to keep her employment thanks to the grocery delivery service. She captures naughty images of famous people and sells them to newspapers during the night. Holly keeps paying her family visits. At home, in the basement, her brother is making an experimental film. In contrast, her sister is about to tie the knot. At last, their dad made a career switch and discovered his true calling in commercial real estate. Holly never misses a Friday night supper, even though she doesn't eat with her family. The benefits of being invisible include freedom from concern about her appearance, rules, and good manners, as well as the ability to roam anywhere she pleases. Shane observes Holly one night as he follows a couple. An MMA fighter in the past, Shane. She is escorted out of the club after he confronts her about her pursuit of the couple. It has taken her by surprise that he is able to perceive her in all three senses. Even though she tries to stop him, he is told to come back inside by a coworker. She approaches other people, mistakenly believing that others can now hear her, but they all turn a blind eye. Visiting her mother's grave the following day, she breaks the news that someone can see the girl while simultaneously admitting that she is still invisible to everyone else. One particular recollection that Holly has is of asking her mother what will happen to her when she dies. No matter what, Holly can always count on her mother to be there for her. One of Holly's tabloid newspapers that she has been collecting catches her eye when she gets home. The main page features Shane, who is discovered cheating, kissing a lady. She suddenly understands he wasn't just a random bouncer. She starts researching him and learns that he was a former mixed martial arts world champion. Despite his unconventional background, he quickly rose to prominence following a string of victories in the ring. Their status as the ideal pair was further solidified by his relationship with Juliana, a well-known celebrity. When pictures of him cheating on Juliana appeared, though, things began to get out of hand. His admirers eventually turned against him, and the split was certain. He lost to his opponent, and that was the end of it. Returning to the club, Holly patiently awaits Shane's arrival. Angry, he flings the newspaper she shows him away. She owns up to taking the picture. After the photo destroyed his life, he demands to know why she is informing him this. She subtly reveals that she is invisible to everyone else and instead expresses her desire to make amends. Quite astonishingly, he demands that she rectify all the mistakes in order to make amends with him. Holly gives it a shot, taking him seriously. Holly volunteers to accompany him and his manager, but he tries to get her to leave. She has threatened to abandon him if, after 5 minutes, he still feels she is unable to assist. Permitting it, he does so. While in the bar, Shane suddenly understands that his manager secretly doesn't notice Holly. She provides him with useful information for the meeting by outlining the activities that his manager intends to enroll him in. His question about the price leads the management to mislead him by informing him that the price has dropped from $1,500 per performance to only $1,800. After Shane demands an explanation from Holly, he storms out of the bar. She freely acknowledges that she is unnoticed. Since Shane can see her, he fails to grasp her meaning. Holly steps in front of a taxi as it approaches to demonstrate that she is telling the truth. The motorist should stop, she says, if he sees her. She begs Shane to believe her, even if he tells her to leave. In the midst of the horn honking and cursing from the cab driver, he shoves her to safety. He points to Holly, but the cabbie misses her. The realization that Holly is actually invisible to everyone else finally hits him. Since he is too inebriated and exhausted to comprehend what is happening, he invites her to his place the next day to see whether she is still unnoticed. Holly reassures Shane during their visit that he hasn't always been a failure, and that she hasn't always flown under the radar. Things will return to normal, she believes, if she mends Shane's broken item. Shane invites Holly to observe and admits that he is still having trouble. This fight takes place below ground. The victory is his. As far as Holly is concerned, the manager's $300 payment for the fight seems fishy. The reason, according to Shane, is his love for the sport. Holly suggests that he seek out more challenging opponents and fights in more prestigious venues in order to increase his earnings, but Shane is certain that no one he knows would be interested in taking on him. He is asked by Holly to bring her the list, and she promises to attend to it. After looking into the names Shane offers her, Holly decides on a competitor who had a brush with the law following a steroid incident. She invades his privacy by sending him a picture of the steroids he's taking after she steals into his residence. Impressed, she decides to drop by Shane's apartment to share the good news with him. He finds out he'll be facing that opponent when he gets a call from his manager. He presses her for details, but she dodges the question, telling him to focus on training instead. Holly uses the time she spends photographing Shane to help develop an image of him for the fight. He inquires about Holly's family after seeing that her phone has a birthday notification for her brother. As they continue to talk about their families, Shane listens to Holly describe her sister, and then makes the suggestion that Holly's sister might be pregnant. In order to borrow some clothing, Holly swings by her sister's place. She sneaks into Shane's apartment, and watches him square off against an opponent. Shane wins in an unexpected way, even though he took a 5-year break. He receives encouragement from his manager, who also informs him that the amount they had anticipated for his fight fee is not as high. Each of Shane's payments appears to have been significantly reduced by the manager. Once Shane gets home, Holly is effusive in her appreciation, but she becomes concerned about him after seeing his wounds in detail. For that night's full moon, he wants her to join him on the roof. After Shane questions her veracity, they get into a brief disagreement. She finds this offensive and claims that her existence should not be dismissed because other people cannot perceive her. Shane expresses his regrets and confesses that he desires her authenticity. He moves in for a kiss as Holly presses him for proof. A journalist takes a while he performs this. He shouldn't be concerned, Holly assures him, because she herself will not be in the picture. Their conversation continues as she crawls back down next to him, and the tension between them grows. They grew close that night. Holly finds a tabloid the following morning that features Shane and the shadow of a girl. She is taken aback to see herself in the photo once more. She goes by the name Shadow Girl. Shane will face his next adversary after this. The opponent's haughtiness bothers Shane during their news conference. Additionally, we find out that Shane has let his manager go. As for the Shadow Girl, an audience member wants to know more. The media is quick to believe that the female in question is Juliana and that the couple is back together. "I don't have anything to say," Shane says. Holly stealthily enters her opponent's limo after the press conference. She uses images of him sleeping with a minor as a weapon of blackmail. His withdrawal from the struggle against Shane is her demand. Holly hears Juliana phoning Shane as she swings by the club following his shift. Holly points out that he seems to be suggesting that Juliana is only contacting to ask for his help again, and he confesses that he wasn't expecting to hear from her. Following Shane's victory, Holly contacts her tabloid contact in order to secure an exclusive story about him. The guy says no. She switches up her strategy and agrees to rematch with him after informing him that his former adversary Shane was the one who had previously defeated him. He seeks confirmation because he is curious, but he can't find it because it isn't true. In order to get him to print it, Holly threatens to tell his competitor if he doesn't. In light of the rematch, he chooses to publish the news. Holly raids her rival's flat in pursuit of extortion documents, but she comes up empty-handed. After that, she drops off the borrowed garments at her sister's place. She goes to the restroom and sees her sister sobbing. Although her sister is reluctant to inform her husband, Shane was correct in predicting that she was pregnant. Juliana was at the lounge on a date, according to Holly's message. Going there for the inside scoop, she learns that Shane was actually her date. After Holly clarifies that she was there to see Juliana and not Shane, he accuses her of spying on him. Holly then asks him if he doesn't think that night was significant. She is insatiably interested about his relationship with Juliana, and he confesses that he wanted to know the outcome. In addition, he says that she isn't real, even though he thinks she's fantastic. In his defense, he asserts that Holly was also exploiting him for her own benefit. Because she was unable to locate any information regarding Shane's former adversary, Holly states that she is unable to predict the outcome of the battle and concedes that this may be the only information she has at this time. She has been instigating conflicts on his behalf, Shane realizes. He yells at her to go away because he's furious that he can't see her. Everything goes back to normal in Holly's life. She persists in peddling compromising images of famous people. The news of Juliana and Shane's relationship reaches her as well. It appears like these two are rekindling their romance. Someone comes knocking on Holly's door one night. "Call me Shane." His life began to unravel, he says, and it had nothing to do with the snapshot Holly shot. Neither was it the only cause of his breakup with Juliana, nor was it the catalyst for his outburst during the altercation. He freely confesses that he became lazy and dishonest because he began to believe that the world owed him anything. After he asks Holly how he might make amends, she plants a kiss on his cheek. He steps back and assures her that he values her while also expressing his desire to change from being that person. His piece of advice is that Holly should accept what happened. She interprets this as Shane blaming her for her invisibility, so she takes offense. Shane wishes her luck in attending the concert, and leaves a flyer advertising a rematch with his opponent before he departs. Holly looks in the mirror and notices that she is no longer reflected there. The situation appears to have worsened significantly. Shane brings her solace, so she hastily heads to the gym. Although Shane hears her rap on the window, he fails to notice her upon raising his head to look outside. When she waves her arms, he looks at her, but he doesn't do anything. Seeing Juliana give him a towel tears her heart. Shane is informed by Juliana that she is heading to the set. After the fight, he wonders if Juliana approached him solely for that reason. Indeed, Juliana confirms, but she makes no mention of apologizing. Holly remembers the mistakes her family made because she is afraid she may soon vanish entirely. By accidentally toppling a trash can, she finds a pregnancy test that her sister had discarded, which she uses to assist her sister in telling her husband the news. She gets to see her brother's experimental film in production and even raves about it. By tripping over one of them outside the house, she lets him meet a girl. Quickly, the brother rushes over to the girl's aid. Their father is Holly's focus, and she asks him out loud why he has never dated. It hits her as she rummages through his belongings that he harbors feelings for their mother. It wasn't just she that lost their mother. Even though it affected everyone in the family, she pretended it didn't and chose to ignore the pain her loved ones were experiencing. Determined to make a change, she takes out a flyer advertising a rematch between Shane and his opponent. She conquers her dread of the throng and arrives at the battle on time. Even though Shane is blind, Holly still makes her way to the cage to encourage him. Holly, visibly distressed, dashes into the cage as Shane falls to the ground. After the round is complete, Shane goes to his corner to regroup for the next one. Holly knelt down beside him and murmurs words of encouragement. Upon opening his eyes, he is reunited with Holly. Interestingly, others can perceive her now. A security comes up to Holly and takes her outside before the battle even starts. Unbeknownst to her, other individuals can now perceive her. Even though Shane loses the battle, he can't stop thinking about Holly. He ends things with the narcissistic Juliana. After hotel security detain Holly, Shane runs after her. He implores them to desist, asserting that she is by his side. They hug and kiss again. Holly sees her father as the film comes to a close. They embrace as he remembers her identity when he looks at her. Thanks for being with us. Peace.